Very warm welcome, dear friends, to our 60-minute learning. For those of you who have just joined us, a very warm welcome. And I do see a few of our friends who are just coming in right now. In today's very fast moving world, it is very important for us to really assess how we are as leaders. And in the last 9 sessions in the whole month of August, we are quite excited to have brought to you different topics in order for us to help our leaders and our employees perform better in their workplace. So let me ask you, how many of you here have employees reporting to you? If you have employees reporting to you, could you just type out the number of employees that report to you, if you don't mind, in the chat room, please? Divya Chua, wow, Chang Hyang has got 15. Okay, Chang Hyang, you're going to be my focus. Kenny Yong has got 2 people reporting to you. What about B King and Kylie? B King has got 1. That's great. So at least I know that I'm actually talking to people who are people managers, or you're supervising a group of people in your organization. Okay, excellent. So what I'm going to do right now is I only have this to say, that I empathize with you, especially for those of you who have employees. It is never easy managing people as they come in different shapes and sizes. So let's cut to the chase, and you are here to take away 3 tools from this leadership toolbox that I'm going to be providing you today. It's not a regular training, it's a toolbox, meaning that I'm going to go straight to 3 tools that you can immediately use in your organization as quick as 4:05 this evening. All right, so I hope all of you are ready and excited to learn in today's session. Okay, so let me just bring to you what are the objectives of today's session. Number 1, we will be focusing on the 4 pillars of a business organization. I'm going to talk to you as what Christopher mentioned about the balanced scorecard. And some of you may have heard this term before. These are very important pillars in order for an organization to be successful. And an organization can't live without these pillars. Next, we will help you with an alternative performance management model that I'm going to introduce to you today for your department. Especially if you think that the current one needs updating, then perhaps you may want to consider what is known as the strength-based performance management model. Okay, sounds quite cool, but I can assure you the application of this model is just as cool as well. So you will definitely learn some basic methods on how to use this tool to manage the performance of your employees. So that's the second tool. And the third objective today, I will help you to try out 4 leadership styles that are to your disposal. Okay, for some of you who has got 5 employees or 3 employees reporting to you, you'll come to realize that you cannot use the same style of leadership with all the employees in your organization. So what style should you use for the right employee for the purpose of achieving what is known as high performance results in your organization? So as promised, these are the 3 tools I will be sharing with you today. As Christopher mentioned just now, to make this session even more interesting, we would like you to really write down some of the important things that you've learned. But rest assured that at the end of this session, for those of you who stay until the end, I'm going to share with you a document that summarizes the entire 3 tools in one single page, which you can download from this presentation later. Okay, so please make sure to stay till the end, because I'm going to share that with you totally free of charge. Number 2, I'm also going to tell you that we're going to have a quiz session at the end. This quiz session is to really test your knowledge on these topics that you have learned today. So I hope that all of you would be fully engaged during this session. So these are the 3 objectives that we're going to learn from our session today, my dear friends. So let me get down right to it. And during this session, I'll be asking you some questions, and if you could very quickly just type out the answer so that I know that you're with me throughout this whole session. So first thing I want to talk to you about this afternoon is the 4 pillars of a business. The 4 pillars of a business, and that is known as the balanced scorecard. All right, balanced scorecard has been around since the 90s. It was introduced by Norton and Kaplan. It's one of the very successful business models to help you become successful in business, especially if you're running a business or if you're a manager in a department. So let me ask you this very important question, and I'm hoping that you will be able to give me the correct answer. What is the most important indicator that determines the health of any business? All of you type out your answer. What is the most important indicator that determines the health of any business? So let's wait for some answers. Once you feel comfortable, just type out the answer into the chat room. What do you think is the most important indicator, my dear friends? Kenny Young says liquidity. Okay, thank you, Kenny. Who else? Yes, Kylie says profitability. So congratulations, Kenny and Kylie. And I think the rest of the other participants would also agree with you. It is definitely finance, all right? Financial indicators, be it liquidity, profitability, those are very important indicators. How we manage our revenue and cost is very important. The second very important one we will look at is your customer. We will look at the broad metrics which determines the level of satisfaction of your customers from the product that you are offering or the services that you're offering. The third very important metrics today I'm going to talk to you about is the metrics of internal process, which looks at the under the surface activities that we do that the customers can't see, but ensures that our products and services reaches the customers correctly. And finally, what do you think is the last one in the box? Could you just type out, just take a rough guess. What do you think the fourth box would be? Yes, Kylie, you are definitely on the right track. Kenny, you're on the right track as well. And that's right, that is your people, your employees, okay? So good, and I'm sure the rest of you feel the same way too. So this is where we're also going to take a look at financials in terms of profitability of our department organization, level of satisfaction, the stability and seamlessness of our operations, and very importantly, the readiness and performance level of our employees. Now, probably you're wondering, how does this constitute as a tool? It's very important for you to understand that all these four pillars have an interplay with each other in order for it to be successful. And the very important thing for you to understand here, and probably the question you want to ask yourself is, are you balanced in all these four pillars? Now, let's take an analogy here. If what would happen, an example, if you were imbalanced in terms of finance, meaning that you're very focused on finance, very, very focused on finance. Everything is about profit and loss. So you only put a lot of focus on finance. Then because you're so eager on making profits and cost saving, you realize that customer satisfaction would be affected because maybe the quality of our materials could be low. You'll also notice that employee productivity will be affected because you try to do more with less, because you try to reduce the headcount, for example, to reduce headcount cost, which is usually the highest cost in most organizations. Then you will find that employee productivity is a problem. So ask yourself, are you overly focused on finance without putting much focus on the other four? Now, what if you are very much focused on pleasing your customers all the time? You always want to give great value, great quality, fantastic discounts. You want to make the customer happy. But one thing you realize is that your profitability and cost savings will be affected. Yes, your customer is happy, no doubt. But your employees are not happy because they don't get good bonuses because the company is not making money. Your shareholders are not happy because they're not making a profit. And you find your internal processes are very stressed out because everything is designed just to please the customer, and that's about it. But what if you take a look at a situation where you are very focused on the internal process? Yes, you find that the process is very seamless, very convenient for employees, but then you realize that it's very cumbersome for the customers because we are only focused on the internal aspect and not on the external aspect of the business. And last but not least, and I've known of organizations who have fallen into this trap where they overly take care of their employees. They give them a lot of trainings. They have a coffee counter for them. They've got a lot of trainings for them. You send them for many company trips. They all are very happy. They get 6 months, 8 months bonus. But then you realize that whenever a tragedy comes or a crisis comes, your employee is not able to handle the situation because they have been too comfortable with the environment all this while. And when COVID-19 hits, then you realize that they are not adaptable, they are not ready for change, and then you get a lot of complaints and a lot of unhappiness. And when you start reducing salary or you give them unpaid leave, they immediately resign. So the very important message and the tool that I want to release to you this very moment, my dear friends, is this. Okay, we need to balance all 4 areas in order for us to achieve high performance results. That's the first tool that I would like to reveal to you this afternoon. And that's the very important question. Are you focused on all these 4 areas? So I would strongly urge you to go back and assess yourself and to see whether these 4 areas are balanced. All right. And perhaps you're asking, Michael, yeah, that sounds great, but what are the questions I should ask myself in order for me to ensure that we are balanced in all these 4 areas? So, like I promised you, we're going to give you 3 tools today. And in tool number 1, there are 2 tools that I'm going to offer you. Tool number 1.0 and tool number 1.1. Okay, 1.1. So what you could do is, if you could just take a moment and assess your department or your organization based on these questions, you would certainly be on the right track. I know it's a little bit small because I was trying to put it into a single slide. But if you wish to have a copy of this balanced scorecard assessment tool, I'll be more than happy to share it with you. So as I ask you these questions, my dear friends, I want you to, as I make the statements to you, write down a yes or no in the paper that Christopher asked you to prepare just now. Under the area of finance, we regularly record revenue growth comparative to the previous quarter. Don't look at this quarter because this quarter is a bit crazy, but I'm just talking about in general. Do you normally see a growth? Number 2, we regularly maintain our financial position comparative to the previous quarter. Do you realize the financial position at least is maintained? Number 3, we regularly manage to lower expenses in certain areas, and that too significantly. And the last one is we increase margins without compromising on quality. Are you able to improve the productivity of your output without compromising on the quality? So these are the finance questions you want to answer. Be truthful to yourself, yes or no. Okay. The next one would be, we are able to attract our new customers. For customers, is that true? Yes or no? We are able to retain at least 95% of our customers in the last 1 year. We do activities to deepen relationship with our customers, and those activities are non-selling activities, my dear friends. I don't mean to say that you try to do a promotion and then you have discussions with the customer. Not those sort of activities that I'm referring to. And the last one is, we have a clear value proposition, either operations excellence, customer intimacy, product leadership. You must choose at least one you must have in order for you to qualify a yes for this, or a mix of both, or 3. Okay. So do you have a clear value proposition for either operations excellence? Maybe you're known for customer intimacy, or maybe product leadership. Which one do you feel that you have some uniqueness in it? Just give me a moment here. Let me just switch off my, just realized my WhatsApp is on. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's talk about internal process. Internal process, our operational processes are easy to operate and effective. Just try to visualize your operation process. Our IT process is easy to operate and they are interconnected. What I mean by that is, sometimes we get vendors to install IT services in different departments, but they are not talking to each other. Our IT services may be running on silos. Our customer service process is easy to operate and timely, especially your CRM system in your organization. Our marketing management process is updated and data therein are easily accessible. All the information pertaining to your customers, your segmentation, all the data involving your customers is easily accessible whenever you need to pull out some data. Our product development processes are constantly scanning for new offerings to be researched and studied. Think about your product development, R&D department. Are they always scanning the environment? Do they have a process to develop better products, a version 2 or version 3 of your existing offerings? And we are always looking at improving our internal process from a short-term, mid-term, and long-term perspective. All 3, you must have all 3 in order to qualify a yes for this statement. So do you do a regular assessment on your internal processes to see from a short-term basis what changes we could make? From a midterm basis, how can we upgrade our system? For a long-term basis, maybe how can we automate systems and things like that? So are you answering yes for all these things? And as far as employees are concerned, what about we attract, hire, and retain the right people? Now, this is important for you to look at all three, not just one, all three. Do you attract the right people? The keyword here is right. Do you hire the right people? And do you retain the right people? The second one is we provide regular personal development, technical, and other relevant training on a regular basis, at least one per quarter. We are in the training business. We realize many customers have cut training because they say that their revenue is affected. If you ask me honestly, that's a bad decision. We always align employees based on their capabilities and strengths in terms of knowledge, skills, talents, and attitude. Do you assess your employee not just based on the competency, but also strength? I'm going to talk about that later. And then we also focus on developing, maintaining, and promoting a corporate culture that is aligned to our vision, mission, and core values. Okay. Now, my dear friends, if you go to a clinic today and before the doctor actually prescribes a medication to you, he will do a diagnosis. And basically, I've just done a health diagnosis for your department or for your organization. And if you got 80% yes for each of these boxes, then I must say that you are on the right track. But if you got most of it no for each of these boxes, then I think that you probably need to look at balancing your scorecard, which is why you have joined us for this session this afternoon. Now, if you're able to follow me, just type in the word yes in the chat room so I know that you are with me and you are hearing what I'm saying. Could you just type in a yes if you're able to follow me so far? All right, great. So this is the first part, yeah, my dear friends. The first tool that I've just revealed to you, number one is the one that I just revealed to you just now, the 4 quadrants, okay? Financial, customer, internal process, employee. You need to balance all these 4 areas. How do you balance it? You do this assessment. You do this assessment, it already gives you an indication of as to whether you are on the right path. So tool number 1 is completed. I'll do a recap at the end. Now, let me reveal to you now tool number 2. Now, this is super mind transforming sharing that I'm going to be offering you right now. And I'm pretty certain you are going to benefit so much, particularly for those of you here who are people managers. You may be struggling with some of your employees, and don't worry, let's see how we can help you overcome this situation. So I'm going to begin my session this afternoon for module 2 by asking you to compare between competency-based performance management versus a strengths-based performance management. And this is a very new theory that Gallup has also been talking quite a lot about this as well. And let me just reveal to you both what is the difference. And I use a binoculars here because whenever we look at our employees, it's like using binoculars and we're actually seeing from 2 different lenses, right? The first lens we talk about is the competency-based lens, which most organizations tend to be using only one lens when they assess employee performance. But today I'm here to also ask you to look at the second lens, which is the strengths-based, okay? Now, what's the difference between these two? In the competency-based, we focus more on the company, meaning that we take a look at the company strategic direction, the company's products, the company's services, and then we try to find employees and we try to look for the competencies in employees in order for them to be able to do those jobs in order to fulfill the needs of our customers. So it's very much dependent on what is needed by the company, and then we find employees or we train employees who may not necessarily have the skill so that we can achieve our company goals. And there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. But when we look at strengths-based, my dear friends, we are looking at the company, what the company needs. And we also look at what are the unique talents, gifts, and characteristics of this employee that may need to be assigned to areas that is suitable to the employee's strength, at the same time achieving the company's goals and strategic direction. So simply put, we are talking about strengths-based being more holistic versus just a competency-based model. The other very important difference is the fact that competency-based performance management system is very much leader, or also known as manager led, meaning that when the employee does something wrong, we will call the employee into the room and we will take the trouble to highlight to the employees, these are the things that you've done well, but these are the areas you need to improve. These are the evidence to that effect. Go back and try this and let's see what happens. So you'll notice that if the manager doesn't call for the meeting, the employee is not going to come knock on your door and say, hey boss, can I talk to you about my performance? It's going to be very much leader-led. I mean, tell me, anybody in this room would have a situation where your employees personally come up to you and say, it's time for me to talk about my personal development. Now, maybe you might get 2 out of 10 employees who are in that category. But what if I told you that if you had a strengths-based methodology performance management system, you could actually have an employee-led performance management system, meaning that the employee owns his performance, the employee owns his talents and gifts, and he always looks at improving himself rather than the organization always coercing him and moving him towards achieving the goal. So at the end of the day, my dear friends, before I reveal to you the tool that's going to help you achieve just that, it is very important for us to focus on connecting employee strengths and connecting employee strengths with job assignments for faster and higher performance results. Now, this is a very critical part because let me tell you my experience. I used to be very fond of giving people an opportunity and then throwing them a challenge and then hoping that they would be able to bend and curve themselves to meet the challenge based on the opportunity I've given. But I'll tell you, out of 10 times I've done that, I failed 8 times. And then now I realize where the mistake is. You sometimes cannot expect people to change or bend 180 degrees to meet your expectations if they don't have a particular strength in that area to achieve it. And it's going to take a long time for us to develop that strength. But while we are developing that employee, the horse has left the stable. So it's very important for us to understand that we need to build on the employee's strength and assign jobs according to his or her strengths in order for you to achieve high performance results in the fastest way possible. Okay, so how are you going to do that? So this is where I'm going to reveal this tool to you today, which was introduced by Marcus Buckingham. He was the head of the People and Performance Research at the ADP Research Institute and a co-author of the book 9 Lies About Work, a Free Thinking Leader's Guide to Real World, which was featured in the Harvard Business Review Press. So there's a lot of research that has gone when Marcus developed 6 characteristics that you could immediately apply in order for you to ensure that you are actually using a sound strengths-based performance management tool. So lean in and let me reveal to you what those 6 are. The first on the list is what is known as real time. Okay, this is critical, super interesting stuff. Real time is that when your employee performs well, or if the employee doesn't meet expectation, give in the moment feedback and course correcting, meaning that do not wait till the end of the month, do not wait till the end of the financial year or during performance appraisal time. And that's the time you want to give the person feedback. It may be too late, or the person may have developed a negative habit for that long period of time. So if you notice that the employee does something that is good or something that needs a course correcting, try to give that feedback immediately, instantaneously, or the next available opportunity so that the employee can improve as he goes. So this is one of the important parts of strengths-based performance management tool, is that you don't wait till the very end to give the feedback. The second one that is pretty interesting is what is known as make it super light touch. Sometimes when you have performance discussion with employee, we tend to go so deep, especially when we accumulate the whole year's performance and try to lump it into in a 1 hour discussion with employee. It's just so much for the employee to take, right? So just like your phone, right? It's a very easy touch on your smartphone. You ask simple questions like, what are you going to get done this week? What help do you need from me? And keep the discussion short. So the employee can immediately focus on activities that builds on his strength. And those activities that he may or she may struggle with, she might say, I would need some support in this area. And as always, you must be ready to assist the employee to deal with that particular situation. So by doing so, you'll notice that the employee is constantly working at improving himself or herself. The third area is to personalize the system. So remember I told you just now the competency-based performance management system is very leader-led, but when you talk about a strengths-based performance management system, it's more employee-led. So you must make it about me, that's the employee, designed by me, and that's the employee that is leading this whole discussion. So the conversation would go along the lines of my strengths, what I'm best at, how can I get better. So try to visualize this. The employee sitting in front of you says, you know what, Michael, I realized that my strengths is in talking to people. I just love having discussions with our customers and negotiating with them. And to be honest with you, I feel that I perform best when I'm in that situation. As we speak, my dear friends, one of my colleagues who's in this room, his name is Lokman. Lokman has just joined us less than a month now. And he has joined us as our client relationship representative. Basically, his role is to support our customers in terms of their administration needs and things like that. But since Lokman joined our organization, he's been telling us that I really feel strongly that I desire making phone calls to the customer. I like talking to people. And just in 2 weeks, my dear friends, we have kind of given him more opportunity to have more conversations with our customers, to promote some of our interesting products. And he seems to be enjoying his job very much. So we adjusted his role to meet his strengths, and that is where we're able to personalize the system. So the regular conversation that his supervisor would have with him would be, where are your strengths? Where do you feel that you're going to be performing best at? And how do you feel you can get better in those areas? And this is where that employee takes that seriously. The fourth characteristics is focusing on their strengths, as we'll be talking about quite a bit just now. Constantly capitalize on the employee's strengths to get the job done, and weaknesses on areas that their person is not good should be areas of least opportunity, meaning that if a person is not good in a particular area, don't give that person more work to do that area to improve the person's skills or strengths in that area. Remember, our goal is to create high performance results. This is not a boot camp. Our department is not a boot camp. We can take some time to improve people along the way, but what is priority is that their strengths must be used to achieve the department results. And their areas of weakness must not be your number one focus. If not, you will be having a lot of friction and a lot of unhappiness in your department. The fifth one is focus on the future. Now, this is a very interesting idea, because normally we talk about feedback, right? Feedback always refers to evidence, historical data. Let me just give you a quick run through how a feedback session would go. Let's take Kylie, for example, and say, hi, Kylie, I just want you to know that you did a great job with our customer meeting yesterday. I like the way you presented. The details were very accurate. And I also noticed that you are very good at asking questions. However, I also noticed that when a customer asked a tough question, your facial expression changed and you look rather upset. In fact, your tone of the voice went a little louder. I saw your face turn red and your ears turn green, and you seem to be very unhappy with that question. So could you share with me what happened? So if you notice, the conversation is very past oriented, which is what we've been trained to do all this while. But what we are trying to do here in strengths-based performance model is that when we have the conversation, we tweak our conversation to be more focused towards the future. So we will focus on few specific work-related activities that the employee could usefully add to his or her strengths, maybe the next day. So for example, the conversation with Kylie would go something like, hey Kylie, I just want you to know you did a great presentation. However, maybe you might want to consider pausing for a moment when a customer asks you a difficult question, because when you pause, you've got time to think and to respond with a suitable answer. So I would really like you to try adding that to your strengths toolkit when you do your presentation next week. And I think by doing so, your presentation will be even better. So if you take a look at the difference between the first feedback and the feed forward that are given, you will notice that in the feed forward, the focus is more on the future. So my dear friends, they always say that in a marriage, the worst thing you can do is to bring up the past, and I've been married for 14 years and I know what that means. So it's very critical for us to look at a different approach, build on the person's strength and add to the person's skill toolkit by adding a skill or an idea that the person can use immediately in the future. And the last one, my dear friends, which is super interesting, which is what is known as localizing the system. This is where we capture our team's local intelligence. What is it that they're good at? What is it that we are capable at? And then we work ourselves upwards towards achieving the strategic goals so that we are able to achieve our goals in a more agile and a more relevant manner. You see, normally, whenever I chair a strategic management review meeting for some of my clients, when they ask me to lead those meetings, I find that the whole focus is about achieving the company goals, right? And it's about how we're going to achieve the company goals, but we rarely talk about what are we good at in terms of our communication? How are we good at in terms of our collaboration? What about in terms of our culture and our continuous improvement mindset? How can we use our strengths to achieve our strategic goals? So I really want you to think about the type of conversations you have with your employees. Is it all about achieving the company goals, which is important, by the way, but is it also focused on, hey, you guys have these strengths that I think that we could capitalize towards achieving our strategic goals. Let's take a look at how we could capitalize on each of our strengths to make this happy. For example, hey, Kenny, you're very good with numbers. I see that your analysis with finance is really good. Do you think that you could help us crunch up some metrics that will be necessary for us to achieve the strategic goals? I think you are the best person to do that. Hey, Christine, I noticed that you've got great relationship with the rest of the departments. Could you help us be more cooperative with the rest of the team? Maybe you could chair some meetings with the rest of the other departments to see how we could tap on their resources to achieve our goals. Now, take a look at the conversation, my dear friends. It's also achieving the department's or the organization's strategic goals, but the conversation is focused on the person's strength. That is not something you do all the time in our Asian culture, but this is why you're here in today's session, and this is why I'm revealing to you this second very important tool. To apply the 6 characteristics to achieve high performance in your team. So I would like to encourage you, my dear friends, this is a call for action. When this session is over this evening, I want you to take a look at what you've just learned in the one pager I'm going to send to you later and ask yourself, how can you alter the kind of conversations that you're having with your employees to shift from a competency-based organization-focused model to a strengths-based employee-focused performance management tool in order for you to make your performance a little bit more relevant and achievable to everyone in your organization. So there you go. That is the second very important tool that I'm introducing to you here today, my dear friends. Okay, so let's just do a quick recap. In the beginning, the first tool I shared with you is the 4 quadrants, which is finance, customer, internal process, and employees. Remember that. The second tool I shared with you, 1.1 tool, would be the assessment tool that you need to use to assess whether our organization is balanced in the 4 quadrants which we are supposed to be achieving. The second module I shared with you is the difference between competency-based and strengths-based performance tool. And my suggestion to you is to consider updating your performance management system by having a strengths-based performance management tool to make things a little bit more relevant and palatable and achievable for a high performance environment. So before I go into my third tool, which I've promised to you today, I would like to just stop for some questions. You have 2 options here. You either could type out your question in the chat room, or you could just unmute yourself, switch on your video, or if you do not want to, you don't have to switch on the video and you just ask the question. I'm just going to pause for 30 seconds just to wait for any questions. If you do not have anything in 30 seconds, we will proceed with our final tool for today. Okay, so if there's no questions, then I'm going to move on to my third point for today, and that is leading styles for high performance. So I'm going to reveal to you different styles that you could use in order for you to lead towards high performance results in your organization. In order for you to be able to do this, I'm going to help you understand your employees in terms of different types of roads. Okay, so I'm going to show you the first road. So my dear friends, this road is known as an earthen road, and for those of you who come from smaller towns, or whenever you balik kampung, You probably will be quite familiar with these kind of roads in and around Malaysia, right? But I want you to look at your employee as a person who is an earthen road employee, okay? An earthen road employee. And what is the characteristics of an earthen road employee is the fact that inexperienced. They are also very eager to learn, but at times they can be quite unorganized in the way they do work, but they are moldable. They are moldable, okay? So see, when you have this sort of employees who are new in your organization, sometimes management tends to be very nice to these employees by giving them all the facilities and services and making them very comfortable at the early stages of their employment. Actually, this is counterproductive, because at the early stages, when people are eager and very excited to learn, and then when you put them in a very comfortable state, they lose the fire quite quickly. So under the circumstances, my dear friends, I would like to suggest you to use what is known as the directing method for these employees. Okay, directing method is where in a high performance environment, you want to show them that you are very instructional, but do not be too close to the employee by giving them too much support system. Be very instructional, be very directive, be clear with your expectations, assign them jobs that is based on their strengths, as what we've learned earlier. But you must demand compliance and discipline. You must demand compliance and discipline. You might get certain complaints along the way saying that my manager is very strict with me, he's always not as supportive as I thought he's going to be. But remember, this is a method that you need to use in order for you to ensure that your employees do not take you for granted or do not take things easy at the time when they're supposed to be molding them with the right values, with the right mindset. It's very important for you to be respectful, be kind, but keep a distance between yourself and the employee, but be more directive in the way you deal with this employee. So this is something for us to think about very carefully when we're dealing with this set of employees, all right? So in short, my dear friends, the leading style that you want to use for this earthen employee, which are people with less experience, very new in the organization, is the directing employee. Now, I'm sure some of you might say, Michael, I'm a very nice person, I'm very kind to people, I talk very gently. All that you can continue, my dear friends, but you cannot be overly kind to people. And when you're overly kind to people and you always don't want to let them fall and you're trying to protect them all the time, they would not be able to come up as agile employees in the long term. Okay, so this is something that you want to think about very carefully. So introducing to you the gravel road employee now. Now, if you notice between this road and this road, what is the difference, my dear friends? Can you type out the answer on the chat room? Just maybe one word. What's the difference you notice between these two roads? Yes, that's right, Kylie. If you notice, this road has got clearer demarcators compared to the first one, but it's still gravel. It is still gravel. I'm pretty sure, Kylie, if you drive your car on this road, you could feel the gravel stones on your tires. It could be quite a bumpy ride. Now, take a look at the characteristics of this gravel road employees. They have got some experience. They are learning a lot of stuff, but they go through a lot of stress at the early stages of your job. It could be 2 weeks, it could be 1 month, it could be 3 months. Once you are teaching them new things, they are picking up the new stuff, but you will also realize that their stress level would have gone up. But don't mistake this stress with negative stress. This is actually what is known as eustress, which is positive stress. Over time, they've picked up a couple of skills and they're doing it well. They may have new ideas. They are becoming more organized, and you see that their results are repeatable. They're able to repeat those results quite successfully, which is great news. But do you then continue using the directing style? You probably wonder, right? Do I still use the directing style with these people? No, actually the answer is no. You need to alter to what is known as the coaching style. So what happens in the coaching style is, if you notice, it's still high directing, very instructional, you still give instructions, you still teach new stuff, you still keep a distance, but this time you also went higher in the supporting style. You're a bit more kinder to this person. What do you do here? Very importantly, the first thing that you must do after a person does a great job, successfully, repeatedly, you praise and encourage a person. For example, Christopher is my client relationship manager, and today he's successfully run this event. So what would I tell you, Christopher? Well, Christopher, congratulations once again. You've successfully completed 10 of these sessions effectively with very little supervision. and your opening and closing of this event is fantastic. So keep up the good work, Christopher, and I hope that you're ready to take on more of these emceeing activities moving forward. So that would be an example of praise and encouragement. But however, we cannot stop Christopher there. What will we do? We will teach him more skills, how to handle difficult customers, for example, or we will have to teach him how to use a certain model or a practice in the workplace. We have to still continue teaching that person because the person is still relatively new in the organization. But the difference here is we also ask for suggestions and feedback. Example of that would be, hey, Kenny, you have been working on this analysis for quite some time, quite successfully. Could you tell me what else could we do better in order for us to present this data in a more concise way to senior management? Could you offer me some suggestions? And then Kenny gives me some suggestions. So you notice here, between the first and the second style, the directing and the coaching, in the directing, it is more instructional, less supporting, but in the coaching, it's both of it is high, where you have the direction that you still teach new stuff, you still guide that person, you still expect quality, but at the same time, you are praising that person and asking suggestions and feedback. So please add that to your toolkit when you're dealing with a more experienced employee moving forward. Okay, my dear friends, let's show you now the state road. What do you notice here difference would be, the road is a little bit bigger. If you notice, the road is a little bit bigger, and you notice there's also more heavy vehicle riding on the road now compared to the earlier roads. So the characteristics of a state road employee is improved experience. They're able to handle things independently now. They can handle big projects, as in big lorries now. They're very consistently organized in their work, and you notice also their self-esteem has increased because now they know how to manage difficult situations on their own. They're a little bit better. So in these particular circumstances, my dear friend, you want to try out what is known as a supporting style in order for you to achieve high performance results. Now here in supporting style, you notice that the leadership style here is low directing, but high supporting, high supporting. Now, what does it mean? Meaning that the role of the leader diminishes. He doesn't have to teach so much. That guy is doing his work most of the time on his own. But for certain projects, you are able to assign it directly to him and ask him to handle it on his own. However, while he's doing that project, you are present and to observe how he's doing it. So, for example, if Servin here, who is one of our participants today, was trained how to do a presentation to customers, and she's been doing it very well. Now I tell her, you know what, Servin, you do it on your own. I'm not going to be helping you, but I'm going to sit there to observe you doing it. At the end of your presentation, I'm going to give you some feedback. Okay, so that is basically what you're doing. You are not helping the person, but you are just there to give moral support. So on completion of that activity, you give positive and future improvement ideas on how, remember I told you, future focus, you give ideas how the person can do better. And then you also motivate and inspire the employee. For example, I would say, Servin, hey, Servin, you've successfully done a presentation to high-level customers. And I'm sure if you continue on this road, you'll one day be doing presentation to CEOs and managing directors. So I'm really excited to see how you progress, and I hope you're excited. How do you feel about it? And the Servin will say, oh yeah, I feel super happy myself. Thank you so much for the opportunity. So there must be a little bit more motivation. So if you take a look at this, the role of the leader has really transformed so much, from being so instructional to being very praise-oriented, encouraging, asking for feedback. And the third part, letting go, slowly letting go, but being there, giving that moral support. The last and not least, my dear friends, is what is known as the highway road employee. Now, what we notice here is that you've got 4 lanes in this highway, very well built highways. You can have multiple cars, multiple big lorries and vehicles running on these highways. It can take a lot of pressure. So what does this reflect is a highly experienced employee, very independent, highly organized, and confident with himself. You know why? Because you have really built on his strength. You've given him feedback, feed forward. You have really given him real-time ideas. You have also built by giving him trainings and all that stuff, and you're able to show him the big picture in the organization. This guy has turned out to be a very successful employee. You cannot be using the babysitting method like supporting style anymore. You cannot be using the pushing method like directing and coaching style anymore. This guy's needs has changed. So what happens here? You just need to trust this person, right? So you use what is known as a low directing, low supporting style of leadership where you assign some of your duties to the employee. Your duties you assign to the employee, you teach that person, and you let go. Let that person handle it. Now, the goal here is to hopefully one day groom him to become a successful leader of the future. You see, we cannot become leaders who are good ourselves, but we are not able to groom other leaders. This is something very important, right? So it's by you delegating some of your work to your employee, what's really happening is that you're building a second layer of leadership, people who can take over your role while you get promoted in the organization. So here you request feedback within an agreed time after the task is done, but you don't have to be present there anymore. He could probably send you an email, or he could send you a WhatsApp message or a report to tell you how things went. And then as usual, whenever he does a good job, you recognize for great performance. How do you recognize? You give him rewards, give him an increment, give him a promotion, because this guy deserves it. You don't give all this at the beginning stage. But when the guy has already achieved the results over a period of time, the two R and R is very important. It's not rest, it's reward and recognition. It's very important for us to provide him. And when you do that, the employee would be able to give you even more in the long term. So my dear friends, in this third module, this is a very important tool, the important tool that I've shared with you today. When you have directing style, you use the earthen road. When the person is a gravel, the person is a state road, you use the supporting style. When the person is nice and well performing, you use the delegating style. Now, why am I sharing this to you is because it is very critical for us to understand that in each one of these, the focus is different. Yeah. So like directing is very high in directing, low in supporting. But if you look at delegating here, it's low on directing and low in supporting. As leaders, my dear friends, we need to change our leadership style based on employees' strengths and performance. You cannot say anymore that I like the instructional style. So even if the guy is very, very experienced, I'm going to push him maximum. You are killing the golden goose. Okay. At the same time, you cannot be just directing a person who is already improved, got some experience. You need to now encourage, you need to ask for some feedback. So it's so mathematical, right? That over a period of time, apart from the employee transforming his work patterns, we as leaders also need to transform our leadership style according to the needs of the employee. By doing so, I can assure you that you are well on your way to achieve a high performance team and high performance results in a short time, because you're able to adjust your leadership style according to situations in your environment. So I hope that you found this to be helpful, and I'm actually going to go into our recap session before we move into the quiz in a short while. So let me just go through a recap of what we've learned today. My job in this session is to provide you with the tools that you could immediately use as soon as this session is over. So I hope that you're finding this session to be effective. So the first tool I shared with you is balance all four areas to achieve high performance results in your organization. Remember, financial, customer, internal process, and employee. You need to balance. You cannot just focus on one area, right? The next thing here is that if you want to know how you stand in this area, you must do regular self-assessment on these four areas, okay? I will send you the self-assessment in the attachment later. And the second tool that I shared with you was to apply the 6 characteristics to achieve high performance. We talked about giving immediate feedback in real time, Superlight Touch, whatever conversations that you give, make sure it's focused on getting the job done tomorrow, next week. And the third one is to personalize it, to make sure that the whole discussion is about the employee, and the employee is actually owning his job through strengths focused discussions. The employee is owning it. He's not expecting the leader to lead the discussion. And then we talked about future focus. When you give feedback, give feed forward instead. Focus on what the employee can do in the future rather than in the past. And the last one here is localize it, meaning that take the look at the strengths that the employees have and see how those strengths can be used to achieve your company's KPI. So your conversations have to change. And the last thing that we talked about today is tool 3, which is change your leadership style based on employee strengths and performance. We learned on 4 very important leadership styles, which is directing, coaching, supporting, and delegating. So I hope that you found this session helpful. We're going to go into our quiz session in a short while. So Christopher, would you like to tell them about what is the prize that is going to be won by our winner for today?
Okay, the winner walks back with a Starbucks voucher of 20 ringgit.
Ah, okay. So our colleague Lokman will be getting in touch with you and sending you the voucher through mail. So please make sure to pay attention to this quiz session, my dear friends, and to see how you could participate and win a prize today. So the quiz instruction says this: wait till the questions have been displayed and read by the trainer before you respond. So do not respond in the chat room until the full questions has been read out by me. Response via text message on chat room will be taken and no verbal answer will be needed. So once you know the answer, my dear friends, just type it out in the chat room, and the first person to type it out correctly after I've read the question and the answers, you would be crowned the winner of that question. Once you get the answer wrong, the next fastest person who answered the correctly will be chosen. Okay. And last but not least, when you win the Starbucks card, make sure to belanja the trainer. No, just kidding. I just cut out you, Amira. Okay. All right. Are we ready to begin, my dear friends? If you're ready to begin, please type in a yes in the chat room so I know that you're with me. Honey and gang, please type a yes if you're ready to begin. Okay, Ong B. King is ready. Karen, Kenny, wow, fantastic. David, Kai. Kylie, are you there, Kylie? If Kylie is there, yes, thank you, Kylie. Kylie, respond, I'm happy already. So, okay, great. So there you go, my dear friends. The first question for today. Remember, you need to type your answer into the chat room. So, Christopher, you're going to help me look at the chat room, yeah? Okay, let's take a look at the first question. The first question is, what are the 4 pillars of a business known as balanced scorecard? A, operations, foundation, culture and cost. B, finance, customer, internal process and employees. C, leadership, employees, vendors and customers. D, strategy, customers, suppliers and finance. Answer. The answer is B. Kylie Saw. Congratulations, Kylie. You got the answer right. Kylie got it. Please make sure you answer as soon as I've finished reading out the questions. Okay. Let's take a look at the second question. What is the most important reason to know about the 4 pillars of the balanced scorecard? What is the most important reason to know about the 4 pillars of the balanced scorecard? A, balance all 4 areas to achieve high performance results. Focus on one of the areas. C, put more on finance as it controls all areas. And D, customer satisfaction to be given area of focus. And the answer goes to Hani Safia because she answered after I read all the questions. So Hani, you've got this answer correct. Balance all 4 areas to achieve high performance results. Please make sure that the answer comes only after I finish reading. Yeah. Okay. Let's take a look at question 3. Which of the following? Yes. Yes. Yes, Christopher.
Mike.
Yeah.
Who got the first question?
Kylie.
Who got the first question correct?
Kylie.
Oh, yeah. Okay, thanks.
Second is Honey, yeah? Third question. Which of the following best describes the difference between competency-based performance and strengths-based performance? Let me finish reading. Don't answer yet. Competency focuses on the employee while strength focuses on the company. Competency determines the employee commitment while the strengths focuses on the employee talents. C, competency focuses on the company while strength focuses on the employee and the company. And D, competency-based performance is objective while strengths-based performance is subjective. And the answer is Kylie Saw. You got it right. Competency focuses on the company while strength focuses on the employee and the company. Yes, my dear friends, remember what I mentioned just now. We are not only talking about a company alone, but we need to align the strengths of the employee with the company's goals. So that's when you achieve a strengths-based performance management model. Congratulations, Kylie, you've got the answer right. Let's go to question number 4. This is a subjective question, my dear friends. So as soon as I read the question, you can already type the answer in the chat box, okay? It's an answer that you need to type out in the chat box. There are 6 characteristics in the strengths-based performance management model. Describe the real time. In your own words, 2-3 words. Just describe it in your own words. How do you describe real time? Come on, let's hear it. Come on, guys. Timer is running. Immediate feedback. Congratulations, Hanti Safia. You got it right. The key word here is immediate feedback. Feedback is important, Kenny, but remember we told you in real time, you correct the course and give feedback immediately, whether it's good or bad, by the end of the working day or immediately when the situation is right, go ahead and give the feedback so the employee can continue developing their strengths. So give in the moment feedback and course correcting. Now going back to our objective question, my dear friends, which of the following characteristics of the strengths-based performance management tool best describes these statements? So you got to choose one of the 6 characteristics of the list I give you here. There's total of 4, choose one. The statements are: make it about me, designed by me, which is employee-led, my strengths, where am I best at, how can I get better. The first answer, don't type yet. Localize. B, Superlight Touch. C, personalize. D, future focus. Type your answer right now, my dear friends. And the answer is C, and that goes to Kylie Saul for typing it right after I read the question. Congratulations, Kylie. Let's move on to, yes, remember this, my dear friends, when you have the conversation with the employee, it should not be only about the company achieving its goals. Make the employee own their performance improvement. So tell them, ask them questions and get them to share what are their strengths, what are they best at, how they can get better, and how you can assist them. We talked about that just now. Question number 6 is, what are the 4 leadership styles that leaders can use? It's a subjective question. Please type out all the 4 leadership styles that we've learned just now based on what you remember. It must be exactly like what you learned, because those are actual terms. What are the 4 leadership styles? I'm waiting. Let's get this happen. Let's make this happen, my dear friends. Oh yes, directive, coaching, supportive, delegating, and that's right. Congratulations, Kylie Saw. You've got it right. Looks like you've got a photographic memory. Same with Kenny Yong as well. Just slightly behind together with Honey, Sophia. But good try there, my dear friends. Question number 7. This employee is new and he has been assigned in his role based on his strengths. He lacks experience and seems very eager to learn. You wish to instill a sense of discipline in his work pattern. You decide to set clear expectations and to teach him his duties step by step. The question here is, what style is this employee? Directing, coaching, supporting, delegating. Answer is Karen Lee. Correct. Congratulations, Karen Lee. The answer is directing. So Christopher, for question number 7 is Karen Lee. Question number 8. This employee has shown that he can be consistent with his work and his self-esteem has improved. He is able to carry out most of his job independently. You feel he's ready for something more. What leadership style should you use on this candidate? And the answer is A, directing, B, coaching, C, supporting, D, delegating. And what's the answer, my dear friends? Kenny Yong, you got it right. The answer is supporting. Congratulations. Why? Because the employee's self-esteem has improved. You know why it's not coaching, Kylie and Honey? Because coaching, he's very stressed out. His self-esteem has not been reached yet. His self-esteem is only reached at the 3rd stage when he has done most of the teaching well. So good try there, Honey and Kylie. But the answer is Kenny Yong, C. Question number 9. This employee has successfully completed some tasks correctly according to expectations. He is responding well to your instructions. What do you think you should do next before anything else? By the way, don't answer until I've read out the answers. Give him more tasks, give him a break, praise and recognize, begin to delegate your work and leave him alone. And the answer is correct, David Tai. Praise and recognize the, was it David Tai? Yes, David Tai, yes. Praise and recognize the employee. Was it David or Kenny?
Kenny, answer first.
Sorry, David. The answer came from Kenny first. Congratulations, Kenny. The answer is C, praise and recognize employee. My dear friends, remember I told you in the coaching style, before anything, remember to praise and recognize the employee, because in the directing style, we don't do that so much. We do not want to make the employee feel so comfortable, but in the coaching style, we must start building his self-esteem. And question number 10, the last, my dear friends, let's see who's going to be the winner for this question. What is the sign of a successful leadership for high performance? You know what, my dear friends? This was not covered as an official topic in the program, but you should be able to get this answer right based on everything that I shared just now. Let me finish reading the answer. A, employees are able to do more work. B, employees are able to consistently and independently achieve results. C, the company makes more money and employees make more money. D, the leader gets promoted fast and gets a pay hike. And the answer is B. That's right. And the answer goes to, was it David Tai? You got it right, David. Employees are able to consistently and independently achieve results. See, this is the goal of leadership, my dear friends. If you say you're a good leader, my dear friends, don't pride yourself unless you notice that Ali, Achong, Akau, and Arumugama is able to do their work consistently and independently with little involvement of your end, because they've reached the fourth style of leadership. And so this is a very important key for you to understand when it comes to leadership. So there you go, my dear friends, the 10 questions. And Christopher, would you like to reveal the results?
Yes. Okay, I'm going to share the screen. Okay, can you see the screen?
It's coming. And the winner is?
The winner, drum roll, the winner goes to Kylie.
Kylie.
Congratulations, Kylie.
You need to type the name into the screen, Christopher. I think you didn't do that yet. Yeah. So winner is Kylie, yeah?
Yeah.
Kylie got 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh yeah, that's right. Congratulations, Kylie. You've won this activity. So our team will get in touch with you, Kylie, and you can take your dad and go for a nice cup of coffee at Starbucks. Okay. Now I'm going to share with you guys what I promised to share with you, which is a one-pager. So please make sure to download this from the chat box. Just download it from the chat box. So this is a 60 minutes learning one-pager. Just take the time to download it right now. This is where whatever that I've covered in this 1 hour session, my dear friends, you can see it in that single page. So there you go, my dear friends. I hope that you found this session to be helpful. Our only desire is that people get to learn in 60 minutes so that as soon as you return to work, you are already a better manager. That's the power of 60 minutes learning, my dear friends. If you like to cover this training as a full-fledged program in your organization, please feel free to contact Christopher, and we'll be more than happy to run this session for you in your organization. Over to you, Christopher.
So once again, thank you very much, Mr. Michael Xavier. At the same time, also indirectly highlighting me that I'm a graver employee. So my dear friend, I hope that you find this session very, very meaningful. I hope that you could actually apply these very distilled and implementable tools in your working organization. So once again, this is the finale, and finally, all of you have graduated. So like Mr. Michael said, if you feel that you wanted to cascade this program to make it an official one, please don't hesitate to let me know so that we can arrange by sending you the outline to you. So once again, thank you very much. Thanks for your support to be in this session. So anything else you want to add, Mike?
No, I'm good. Thank you so much, Christopher. Thank you, Lokman. Have a great day, guys. All the best to you.
God bless.
God bless you all. Take care.